What's everyone saying? It's your boy Simon was back again. I'm here today in Honor Oak in southeast London, and in today's video we're going to be having a look at what may be London's most modern bus route. I see one in front of me just down there, so let's get on it, let's see what's the chat, and yeah, we'll catch you in a bit.
London has over 700 bus routes which traverse the city 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 364 days a year. The city's red double-decker buses have been an iconic symbol representing London, and the network is touted as one of the world's best. London has regularly been at the top when implementing innovations to its bus network. For example, the introduction of wheelchair-accessible buses in 1994, the introduction of the iBus system and live bus tracking in 2007, and the bus hopper fare in 2016. As time has gone on, Transport for London, the governing body of London's transport system, has increasingly invested in improvements in the bus network. This has included the introduction of new hybrid and electric buses across the network, with all buses now meeting or exceeding Euro 6 emission standards. Across the country, over the last 10 plus years, bus usage has been declining, routes have been cut, and services have been trimmed. It's noted that almost 5,000 routes in England have been axed since 2012. It's also important to look at the impact of the pandemic on bus usage, with the rise of hybrid working, the cost of living crisis, thank you government, and at the time, back in those days, the limitations of social distancing and overall capacity. In response, in March 2022, TfL developed the Bus Action Plan, which highlights targets and aims regarding the improvement of the city's bus network to be achieved by 2030. The main targets aim to support a green and inclusive recovery for London and achieve the Mayor's target for London to be a net zero carbon city. The report notes the importance of enabling sustainable growth and development, tackling the climate emergency, and pushing to avoid a car-based recovery from the pandemic. Improving bus services, making them an attractive method of travel, and increasing usage will all work together to make a better London. As part of the report's goal to create an inclusive customer experience, improve journey times, and improve connections, TfL have engaged in a number of trials, including one on bus route 63, which runs between Honor Oak in southeast London to King's Cross in central London via Peckham, Elephant and Castle, Blackfriars and Farringdon. The route is currently run by Abellio London, having been run by Go Ahead London till November 2021. TfL have called the trial Future Bus, which has been in place since March 2022. Yeah, I know, I'm a year late to the game, better late than never, please forgive me. Future Bus incorporates a fleet of new Alexander Dennis BYD Enviro 400 MMC City buses. Wait, now that's a mouthful, that is a lot to say, gosh, wow. Which have all been fitted with a number of improvements to aim to make the bus a more attractive method of transport to use, rather than using your car, your jetpack, a skateboard or something, I don't know. Improvements notable in the exterior include electric destination boards, which show the number and destination not just at the front, but at the rear as well. That means you won't accidentally run for a bus that's literally going to terminate one stop down the street. And you can slow down and walk with minimum shame. To be fair, why would you run for the 63? Because services have been bolstered to run every 7 to 8 minutes during the day, and every 10 minutes in the early morning and late evening. Much better than any of these routes in Glasgow, Ooh. But then, we've also got the 63 being supplemented by the 363, which runs between Elephant and Castle and Crystal Palace, and the N63 that runs every night between midnight and 5 AM. A number of stops along the route have also been fitted with improved information screens, further decreasing your shame from running for the bus, including large electric local area maps at bus shelters, which I thought were touchscreen, showing live bus times, serving status information, and more. At stops without shelters, new screens have been added showing live departure times, which are basically a smaller version of the legacy iBus screens. Honestly, it's much better than what TfL used to call technology. These don't even light up anymore. Now to the buses. Those are buses, right? If you didn't know, those are double-decker buses. Some of the fleet has had exterior branding applied, but someone at TfL forgot to add the actual route number on the advertising. Come on. On the lower deck, the bus is nice and cozy, and notable inclusions onto this future bus include high back seats which add to comfort on board, with several priority seats that have a different maquette to the rest of the bus, which is useful for visually impaired passengers and more notable to regular passengers. These buses also have a larger wheelchair/buggy area than other buses, which means you can accommodate more buggies at one time, or a buggy and a wheelchair at the same time. There's also a screen downstairs which shows a wider range of information compared to regular iBus screens. When you go upstairs, the screen also shows next stop information, ETAs, and tube service updates. It's much clearer, and it's amazing for people who might have a bit of trouble navigating London's transport network. On the back of each seat, you'll notice a nice little phone holder, allowing you to watch pirated streams of Manchester United getting absolutely demolished 7-0 by Liverpool, time after time. And also to watch my content too, come on. Below that, there's also a USB charger for you to keep connected with the girl you're meeting in King's Cross for a Tinder date before your battery dies. You'll also notice this, the skylight and the rear window, which helps bring in extra natural light into the upper deck, much more compared to the lower deck to be fair. There's also been a new bus lane added along New Kent Road on the approach to Elephant and Castle, which has highlighted the importance of bus priority in making buses a more attractive method of transport. All these improvements are a welcome addition to the bus network. In London, we've seen some of these improvements on a number of routes like the P5 and the C10, with their kinda new Satana E-City Gold buses, and the 507 and 521 Red Arrow routes. Rest in peace, rest in peace. Some people out of London may laugh at how features like wireless and USB charging, tables, phone holders, and other features are so new to London. But when you realise most of these places out of London are paying way too much for their bus fare, then you realise Londoners have the last laugh. Even though the Conservative government has absolutely starved funding out of transport for London since a certain Joris Bonson was mayor, culminating in a £700 million loss of funding from the government, TfL has done as well as it can to use its resources to run the best bus services in the country and keep fares low whilst doing so. 65% of TfL's operating revenue now comes from fares, tube fares mostly, compared to 38% in New York and 27% in Paris. And because of this, during COVID, TfL needed to ask for bailouts from central government to cover the shortfall created due to lockdown restrictions. Getting people back onto buses is important, as more money comes to TfL, resulting in more money to further expand and upgrade the transport network in the city. Having visited other European cities, it would be nice to see certain additions like audio announcements noting the bus route and destination on the exterior of the bus when boarding. I'd seen it in France and in Sweden, and I thought it was quite nifty for visually impaired passengers, for tourists, just to know what bus they're getting on. I also noted that the rear doors on the future buses don't have a closing door sound, which is normal in continental Europe, but I guess to folk in the UK it's a bit unnerving. Either way, I like that London is leading the way in bus innovation, but certain cities like Edinburgh and Nottingham are not too far behind. Following the trial, feedback will be collated to form the new features that new buses will have from 2024 onwards.
And you find me here at King's Cross St Pancras, the northern terminus of the 63. If you like the video, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, all that good jazz. It is very chaotic here at King's Cross. You've got like 3 church services, 7 buskers. It's London, huh? If you like the video, drop a like, subscribe. I'm gonna go get on a bus, go somewhere random, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you in a bit. Boop, boop. Bap, bap. Yeah.
This is a security message. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text